まず座ってください。
あ、そうですか。はい。
すみ
ません。
后面同学把门关上。后面同学把门关上。这个各位同学下午好啊。这个今天呢，我们从日本关西学院大学，也是我们吉林大学最长交流时间最长的、最友好的一个学校。我们请来了我们关西学院大学综合政策研究部的教授，这位先生叫松村宽一郎。首先呢，我们向松村先生的到来，并能抽出时间呢，给大家做这个很精彩的报告，大家表示热烈欢迎。那么松村先生呢，他的专业呢是研究这个综合信息啊。那么实际来讲呢，它和这个我们经济学有很大的关系。今天做报告的主题呢也非常的有意思，就是气候的变化对农作物的影响啊，和我们经济学的有很大的关系。这个松村先生毕业于日本的京都大学，后来又到北海道大学，最后在京都大学拿的博士学位，到东京大学工作，然后又到了关西学院大学啊。那么我相信呢，松村先生今天能做这个报告，对我们很好，更多的方面给在座各位同学呢以很好的启发，看看一个学科多学科交叉的学科如何收集资料、分析问题、思考问题啊。在这方面，相信同学们一定会获得很大的收益。最后呢，那个同学们，我希望同学们认真听。最后呢，可能会有一个提问的时间，希望同学们呢能够踊跃的提自己的问题，提出问题的问题意识，这一点呢比什么都重要。下面让我们以热烈的掌声啊，欢迎松村先生给我们做报告，好吧？
どうも皆さん、ニハオです。こんにちはです。よろしくお願いします。Okay, I try to speak in English, but slowly. So thank you for coming today, and I'm very happy to give a talk here. And today I'm going to talk many things, so many things. But I hope you to experience the information technology and also the climate change. And also the company's activities, everything. I'm going to give a talk today with the presentation files and also the movies and other things. And sometimes I ask you the questions about the topics I give a talk today. Thank you. So let me start today. Anyway, so today I'm going to give a talk about 5 topics. One is most important thing, the population and human activities, economic activities. And second, geographical information system. Are there anyone who have ever heard of the name of the GIS? Yeah, you raise your hands. No. You are not familiar with GIS? No, oh, you know that. GIS means kind of mapping, but with the digital maps. So then I'm going to give a talk about the advantage of using the geographical information systems. And third is relationships among temperature, precipitation, and fertilizer of crops in the global scale. And fourth, I'm going to give a talk about the Changjun area. Last November, I had a chance to come to visit Jilin Tashi, that's in agricultural faculty of agriculture. And I could conduct my survey to the farmers in Changjun area. The farmer's house is about 70 kilometers from here. So based on the survey of farmers, I conducted the statistical analysis using geographical information systems. I'm going to give a talk about this. And also fifth, I'm going to give a talk about attractiveness of this area. Because I went to the farmers and he told me that he just planted his crops from April to October. But in the winter time, the temperature is very cold here. So he has nothing to do. He has to stay at home and he can do nothing. So from that point, I'm going to give a talk about how the farmers can work during the winter time. So comparing with the activities of Hokkaido, example of the Hokkaido's. And also six, we have time. I'm going to give a talk about Porter hypothesis. Porter hypothesis is Porter. Have you ever heard of the name of the Michael Porter? Will you please raise your hands? No? Nobody knows the name of Michael Porter. No. I think you belong to the business school. So the Michael Porter is a very famous professor at Harvard Business Schools, Harvard universities. And he made a theory. If the company pays more attention to the environment, the company can gain the more profits. That's so-called Porter hypothesis. So I'm going to give a talk about Porter hypothesis if we have time. And I talked with dean of these schools, and I can give a talk around 2 hours from now. So it's 2:10. So I'm going to give a talk maybe 4 o'clock sometime, and then sometimes I'm going to ask you while walking here, like some kind of a seminar or something like that. So I'm going to give a talk about 6 topics today. So let me start first topics. So, but before that, let me introduce myself. My hometown is Kyoto, capital city, old capital city, and Kyoto has a very close relationship with Xi'an in China. And I was born, and until I graduated from high school, I was in Kyoto. And then I went to the Hokkaido University in Hokkaido. And I majored in geophysics. Geophysics is dealing with earthquake, meteorology, and hydrology or oceanography, and meteorology, that kind of things. And I majored in geophysics at Hokkaido University for 4 years. And then I went to the Institute of Low Temperature Science, Hokkaido University, to study the Master of Science related to the sea ice. Have you ever heard of the, maybe you are not familiar with the sea ice? So first of all, I'll tell you about the sea ice research, first of all. Because okay, this is a view of sea ice. Because this topic is not so much, not so have a close relationships with today's topic. So at the beginning, I want to introduce this. As you can see, this is a North Pole, and this is sea ice, and this is Greenland. Every year, every winter season, there makes sea ice here. This is Greenland, this is Japan, and this is China. And this white area is the area covered with snow. So this sea ice extent changes every day. Something like this. It's every year in summer, the sea ice disappears, and also the snow disappears in the summertime. And if it winters, sea ice generated and covered with ice. And this time, I'm very much surprised to see the snow this March, and you can see the snow outside. And the snow cover plays very important role for the human activities, because if there is a snow here, so the snow, when you are outside today, you think, oh, bright. You cannot open your eyes because it's too much light. So that means if the lights coming from the sun come to the surface of the earth, it will return to the space. So that means if there are much snow on the surface of the earth can be cooler. But without snow, the sunlight is absorbed on the surface of the land or absorbed in the ocean. So that will cause the global warming. So during these days, it is said that the amount of snow cover and also the amount of sea ice is very, very important issue during these days. So when I was at master courses at the Institute of Lec1SANY Science, I've been working on these topics. And recently, what happens in the North Pole is that sea ice, this is the North Pole, sea ice along in the Arctic Ocean, it melts. So that will cause the very serious problems to the climate condition in the world. And also, there are another advantage. As you know, if you are in China here, and China is here, and Japan is around here, if you want to export goods from Japan to Europe, you can take a boat this way and passing by southern tip of South Africa and then reach to Europe like this way, very long way. But during these days, there are problems here. Do you know where it is? This country. Can you imagine this place? Anybody else, please? Here. This place, around this place, this portion. Imagine, Somalia, this is Somalia. These are African countries. So now, what's famous for Somalia? Somalia has an international problem here. What's happened? Is that here? What's happened? Okay, sorry, it's something wrong with this. なんだろうな。Somalia, what's famous for Somalia? Anybody know that? Pirates. Pirates, yes. Very serious problems of the pirates. Because of the economic condition of Somalia is very bad now. So the many pirates are on the sea. And if you want to bring your goods to European countries, insurance becomes almost 10 times than before. The insurance fee is very expensive. So that means the transportation cost is increasing dramatically. So nowadays, there are new ideas. These areas, the ice melts. So let's take a boat, not passing by Somalia, and going this way, because there's no sea ice in the Arctic regions. So those kind of things, that's one of my research topics. But this time I will not give talk about this. This is you are majoring the economics, so I'm going to give a talk about much familiar with economic topics. And then after that, I started to work when I finished master degrees. I worked for the Sanwa Bank. Now Sanwa Bank becomes Bank of Tokyo Mitsubishi, UFJ. And I worked for 9 years as a consultant for marketing, investment, or making reports for the government or supporting company to run its factory in Asian countries like Thailand, Indonesia, and other countries. So I used to work for the consultant for nine years. And then while working for the consultant, I went to the Kyoto University to get doctor degrees as a graduate school of global environment engineering. And I got doctor thesis there. And then I moved to the Tonshin Tashi, the University of Tokyo. And then I moved to the Kansei Tashi several years ago. So that's my background. And here at Kansei University, I'm teaching socioeconomics and the environment, and also the teaching information technology topics. So nowadays, my main job is working for the Kansei University, but also working for the National Institute for Environmental Studies, and also the University of Tokyo Spatial Information Science Center. And also sometimes I give a talk about the MOT, management of technology. And also I'm visiting scholars at the Wangari Maathai Institute for Peace and Environmental Studies in Nairobi, because I'm working for the United Nations environmental programs. And from the end of this month, I'm moving to the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. And I will be at Earth and Ocean Science and start my research topics related to the sea ice and atmospheric circulation. That's my background. So let me talk about the advantage of using a geographical information system. As anybody who has ever seen the GIS? No? Nobody knows GIS. Only this. Okay, so I'm going to give a talk about the advantage of using, what can we do using the GIS. Okay, this example is a graduation thesis conducted by my students. And he's very much interested in Bangladesh. Sorry, in Japanese, but you can imagine what GIS can do. As you know, anybody who knows about Bangladesh, please tell me, what do you know about Bangladesh? Anything is okay. Poor, they are poor.
So many people.
So many people. And others? Are there anybody who knows about Bangladesh? Heavy rain. Eh? Bangladesh, please. And always?
One of the poorest countries.
One of the poorest countries. As anybody knows about Bangladesh? Bangladesh is here, around here. As you know, every year, Bangladesh is suffered from floods because of much water. Much water is coming from the Himalayan mountainous areas. So the much waters coming down to the Bangladesh. So every year, Bangladesh is suffering from the floods. So, and also global warming. Global warming makes the sea level rise. If it happens, the sea level will rise. So there are 3 data sets. One is topographic data set. Topographic data is kind of the shape of the surface of the land. And the other is population data sets. And the other is vegetation data sets. So we can combine these data sets with topographic data sets with any other data sets, such as the population data sets and vegetation data sets. For example, if you have a topographic data set, if the sea level rise 1 meter, so then you can calculate the area disappears in 1 meter sea level rise. Maybe you live in Jilin province. Jilin province, I think it's a higher places. So you are not worried about the sea level rise. But if you live along the seaside, the sea level rise will cause the very serious problems. And there are population data sets. If there are population data sets, combine topographic data with population data sets, you can calculate how many people will be under the water. And also there are vegetation data sets. So making use of vegetation data sets, if the 1 meter sea level rise, in which part will be used, you can easily calculate for that. So this is a GIS systems software. You can say these are topographic data sets. This place is a higher place. But Bangladesh, most of the area in Bangladesh is a lower places. So if 1 meter sea level rise will cause this amount of area will be under the water. And also this is a population distribution maps. In which parts? How many people live? So if the 1 meter sea level rise, almost 30 million people will under the water. Of course, people can move. But if he stays there, if 1 meter sea level rise will cause 30 million people will be under the water in Bangladesh because the sea level of land, Bangladesh land is very low. And in Bangladesh, producing rice is a major industry, major earning money methodology in Bangladesh. They can earn almost $8 billion US in year 2007. And this is a vegetation data set. And from vegetation data set, there are kind of legends. Legend means in which part, in which color is which vegetation. I mean, where people live, or broadleaf, or needleaf, or cropland. So making use of these data sets, this area is where rice planted with this color. This is where rice planted. So 1 meter sea level rise will cause almost 5,000 square kilometers cropland will be under the water. So this is advantage of using GIS. So next time I will show you about the nighttime image data sets. please turn on the lights? Just make it dark. Yeah. Sorry, because the scenery is very. Or make it black, but everything. Yes, thank you. Okay, sorry, not always. This you can see the maps. This is a computer graphics, but you can see the white area. White area is where lights up. White area, and you can see the economic activities of human beings. This is Japan. You can see here, this is Kyushu, and this is Osaka, and this is Tokyo. And this is South Korea, and the North Korea is almost black. So we can see the moving the surface of the Earth, and you imagine in which part has a lights, and in which parts no lights. Please check that. So this data set is generated by National Oceanographic Atmospheric Association, so-called NOAA in USA. They have been working together with NOAA for almost 10 years. And they are providing these data sets. And you can see now Bangkok city in Thailand, in the Middle East. Oh, right. It happened. What? Okay, will you please turn on the lights? What's happened? Something wrong with the light system. Okay. Easy turned off. Easy turned off.
This machine is so old.
Oh, welcome. Okay. Okay, it's okay. So, yeah, wait. It's okay. When I give a talk in Nepal, I sometimes give a talk in Kathmandu in Nepal. But they don't have electricity, so the electricity stops. So 2 years ago, when I have a chance to give a talk in Nepal, just I started my presentation, electricity has stopped. So I could give a talk without electricity to rest of my lectures. It works? Okay, okay, please, again, will you please turn on the lights again? Thank you. 消していただけますか? すみません. Okay. Okay, you can see in China, the lights up along the seaside, but not seaside, not inland. The lights, you can see lights only along the seaside. So we are going to, you can see that China is here. And this is the lights of Taiwan. In Taiwan people, they miss the China. So most of the people living in the place where they can see the continents. And on the upstairs, you can see the lights of Bangkok. As you know, this year, Bangkok suffers from a serious floods this year. So the lights disappeared because of the floods. And also you can see from now we are moving on the India. In India. And in India, they have lights. Every places you can see a lights in India. We are now moving on the India, and you can see the Himalayan basin in the Middle East. And then we are moving to the European countries. There are lights. So this is the lights is moving. And you can see the Finland, Denmark, North European countries here. And then, from now, this movie, we are going to fly over the Eurasian basin. And one of my friends, he's a pilot. He's driving an airplane from Japan to Europe, and he sometimes flies over the Siberian basin. And almost 6 or 7 hours, he just fly on the basin of the Eurasian basin. Eurasian basin is a huge continent. And you can see the lights in each places. This is the Siberian Railways. And Siberian Railways was constructed almost 100 years ago at the era of Empire Russia. And you can see the lights of the train station of the Siberian Railways. So you can see this in the middle. You can see the Siberian Railways. And almost 100 years ago, if you take a ship from Europe to Japan, it takes almost 50 days or 40 days, almost 50 days. But at that time, Empire of Russia made railways, Siberian Railways, and it takes only 10 days, less than 10 days, for the people to move from Europe to the eastern tip of continents. So that was miracles. It's so-called, we can say it's a miracle. So you are moving. This is a light. This light is a light of the Siberia Railways. And then you will see the China too. China, the continent of China. In these areas, around here, you can see China. But almost nobody lives inland. Most of the people in China, they live along the seaside. And you can see the Japan here, Japan Sea. This is Japan Sea. So if you are the Russian people, maybe you might think, you want to get Japan. Because without Japan, you can go out to the ocean. But because of the Japan, you cannot go out to the other places. You can imagine that. So this figure tells you the importance of seeing things in the opposite side. Will you please turn on the lights? Please. Thank you. And also, I show you the example of the nighttime image datasets in a quickly. This dataset is very useful to estimate the expansion of human activities. If you access to if you make use of Google's, you just press DMSP. If you type DMSP, so you can easily access to this website and download the datasets and the images and the papers related to these papers. So I show some, and they are providing a time series dataset of the lights intensity. For example, this is a very interesting slide. It's in Shanghai, near the Shanghai. And do you know the RGB? Have you ever heard of the name of RGB? RGB. It's a technical term. RGB, red, green, blue. RGB. RGB is a three fundamental colors of the three fundamental colors. If red, green, and blue mix together, it becomes white. So have you ever heard of the name of the blue diode? LED. Blue diode makes it possible to get the white lights. So long times we can get red colors and green colors, but not blue colors. So the very famous Japanese scientist invented the blue colors diode, so we can get white lights. LED, so-called LED. So this is RGB, the concept RGB. And you can see 1992. In 1992, in Shanghai, blue area is a place where only 1992 they have the lights. And but in 1998 and year 2003 disappears. And green means 1998. And red means 2003. So in Shanghai region, most of the area is a blue, is a white. But there are some places with red, or green, or blue. So this, making use of this data set, you can imagine the expansion of the human activities on the surface of the Earth using satellite image data sets. And this is Eastern Europe. Those kind of things. So this is one of the advantages of using the geographical information systems. This is a DNSP data sets, a night image data sets. And if there's more lights, more incomes, more GDPs. So it's kind of very again. Anyway, there are very close relationships. Another project, Yes, please. Yeah, anyway, again. Oh, it's okay. Please relax. relax and watch it. The situation is a little bit Yeah, this is the income and the nighttime image. If the more the place, if the more lights, the GDP, more GDPs. And this is the population data sets, and you can see if you compare with the population data. This is the population data set in Nepal. I give a talk about this matter in Kathmandu at universities, and this is the nighttime image data set. So you can imagine that if many people live in Nepal, there are many people live in Nepal, but no lights. There are almost no lights. That means Nepal is very poor. Nepal is said to be one of the poorest countries in the world. So you know, or Nepal, there are many people, but they don't have lights. So you can imagine for that. And also, most important thing is a human population. Population is most important issue when we think of the economic developments and other factors. And this paper, I got this around 1995 in Beijing. And this is from China Dailies. And the newspaper says, I got this in Beijing when I was working for the bank. I sometimes going to Beijing. And there in the hotel, I got the newspaper, the Asian demand for rice growing. And how many of you think these are future prospects of the human population? Nowadays, this year 2010, almost the population reaches to 7 7 billion people, 7 billion people. So how many of you think, I mean, the year 2050, the population is 7 billion, or 9 billion, or 10 billion? Will you please raise your hands? Okay. Okay, じゃあ7 billion people, はい。7 billion people. The people who think, the students who think the population will 7 billion. Nobody. Okay, じゃあ9 billion. Yes, please raise your hand. 9 billion. Okay. And almost 10 billion, or over 10 billion. Why? Others, what do you think? Okay, will you just translate? Yes, in Chinese. I mean population.
说现在的人数，现在地球上大概有70亿人。如果说到2050年的时候，如果大家认为地球上是会还有70亿人，还是有90亿人，还是有大概100是70亿，90亿还是105亿？就是大家做一个调查，老师想问问大家想支持哪一种？就是70亿人的先举手，就是说人数在50年之后大概还保持不变，大家先举手。有认为是这个的吗？没有的话呢，就是说在2050年的时候，认为地球上会有90亿人的同学先举下手，有吗？
じゃあ、
Okay.
So start again. Sometimes I ask him to translate into Chinese better. Maybe my English might too difficult to understand. Okay. Okay. 7 billion. Raise hand.
105亿人的同学请举下手，认为在40年之后，地球上会有105亿人。
Very important. This population change is very important. That's one. 7 billion. Okay. じゃあ9 billion. Yes, raise hand.
90億。
みんな手挙げましたね。Okay, over 10 billion. 10 billion.
超過100億就是105億大概有嗎？有同學。
Okay, thank you. So maybe the population will reach to 9 billion. Thank you. Then, this is a very important thing. At a stage, if the country is very poor, many babies, but many babies die because of the economic level is low. And if economic development has happened, many babies born, but not many babies die. So at this stage, population expansion happens. And then moving to the small babies, and small babies born, and small babies die. This is a traditional way of thinking. But nowadays, the situation has dramatically changed. Many people die, many babies dies, many babies born, but then they are moving dramatically to the small babies born and small babies die. Do you know the reason why? Do you know? Will you please explain to them? And I want to let them to discuss. This is a very important issue. Why it happened? Yes.
就是说，老师说，这是一个循环。一开始是大家在很穷的国家里面，就是出生的婴儿非常多，之后由于条件很不好，就是婴儿都死掉了。就是第一个时期，就是多产多死的时期。第二个时期是多产少死，就是说婴儿出生的很多，但是由于条件有一定的改善，所以说死亡率下降了，就会导致婴儿的急剧的增加。这是第二个情况。第三情况是少产少死，是一种比较进步的状态，就是说婴儿出生的也很少，由于那个水平也很高，死亡率也很低。老师想问一下，就这个过程，大家是认为是由什么导致的这个过程的变化？有没有哪个同学想回答一下？
This is very important.
他认为这个过程还有这个问题对这个 lecture 非常重要，就是大家有没有什么想法想跟老师交流一下？
Anybody is okay. Anybody?
一点点想法，谁都可以说一下。
Yeah. Please. Yeah, you can say in Chinese and he can translate.
He can speak English well.
Yeah, please.
I'm thinking about the die part. It's because of the medical technology is improved in rich countries, not like the poor countries. So that's why many babies survive. That's for the die part. But I have no idea about the birth part. About in poor countries, many babies are born, and in rich countries, less babies are born. I have no idea about this part, but the medical technology part is related to the region per country.
Yes. Yeah. But about nowadays, that's a point. Medical care is one of the important issues. But another point is, are there anybody who has watched the movie, Slumdog Millionaire? Slumdog Millionaire. Slumdog Millionaire. Are there anybody who watched the Slumdog Millionaire?
看那个贫民窟百万富翁那个电影，有看过吗？
Everyone knows.
Yeah. Maybe everyone.
Yeah, okay. And Slumdog Millionaire movies tells us many things. Slumdog Millionaire. Jamal. In the Indian movies, Slumdog Millionaire, Jamal. That will tell you many things. That is, if you are farmers, okay? If you are farmers, you have to have many babies. Otherwise, you cannot survive. That was old theory. But in the movie of the Jamal, in the movie of the Slumdog Millionaires, Jamal is coming from the poor side, poor peoples. But he's educated to only speak English. So he can get jobs. Nowadays, there are information technologies. So the people who are in the countryside, they can also get information. And if only they are educated, if only they can speak English, in case of India, they can get good jobs. Departing, leaving their homeland and moving to the cities and get jobs. For example, in the movies, in India, the farmer's annual income is around maybe less than $500 US 1 year. If he's a farmer in a countryside. But it's okay. And if he's educated and moving to the city areas, his income becomes maybe 3 times or 4 times as much as of his father's. So because of the information technologies, more and more people know that if I could educate my son and my daughter, and he will get much money. So what's happened to the countryside of India is they don't have more babies, but they are having small number of babies, but trying to educate them. That's the phenomena, what's happening now. So last November, I went to the countryside at the Changjun province. And there I met a child, but very huge child, very huge. And why that very huge child is because the farmers want to educate their son and daughters. So that's going on in the countryside. And also the last summer, I was in Vancouver. I was in Vancouver for 1 month. And there I heard that nowadays more and more farmers coming from India to Canada to plant trees. So that the labor is moving. The labor is moving from one point to another point. That's going on. And also the many Chinese governments, they are investing in foreign countries, in African countries. Chinese governments, they are investing. But one of my friends is a cabin attendant of the airline companies, and she told me that nowadays more and more people who has never took an airplane are flying from China to African countries to follow the investment of Chinese governments. So that's now what's happened in the world. So in that sense, the number of child is dramatically decreasing. For example, in Japan, our population is now almost 100 million people now. But in 100 years later, the population becomes one-third or 50%, I mean half that of now. Because in Japan, young people, they don't get married, and they easily divorce. One-third of couples, they divorce. And the number of child, at most, they only have one child. So that's going on in Japan. So we are losing the powers and we are losing the populations. And maybe in China, maybe most of you don't have sisters or brothers. Some might have sisters and brothers. So that's happening. So in that case, the population in the world is decreasing, except for Middle Eastern countries and also the Philippines. Please remember this in your mind. Because in the Philippines, abortion, can you explain abortion in Chinese? You don't know that. Abortion means if you have a baby, you destroy the baby, it's abortion. In Philippines, they don't, abortion is prohibited from the religious points of view. Religion in the Philippines. Okay, please explain. This is very important.
Abortion is illegal.
Abortion is prohibited in Philippines. No people do that abortion in Philippines. So the population increasing dramatically in Philippines.
就是老师说，在菲律宾的话，堕胎是违法的，是严格禁止的。所以说，他那个菲律宾的婴儿出生率就越来越高，人也越来越多。
Okay, thank you. And so in that sense, please think seriously about the movement of population. Because you are in a business school students, so the population is the most important issue for your conducting your business, your future. And also these data sets, I got these data sets from the Chinese Academy of Agriculture last November. You can see this is a self-sufficiency level. And this is a consumption of the food. And this is a supply of the crops in China. Nowadays, Chinese governments are providing the data to the public. Before that, they don't the data set open to the public, especially before 1960s, because of the political issues. So maybe at that stage, around year 1960s, you can see this. This is a demand for food, and this is a supply of food. And demand for food exceeds the supply of food. So that means this is a very serious facts. In China, in 1960s, 3 million people disappeared at this stage. But it is said more than 20,000 people or 30,000 people are disappeared because of the hunger in China. So that's most important issues. You have the economic development in China. But if you cannot get food from outside, or if you cannot get food from your own countries, this kind of thing might happen. So be careful for that. So maybe next topics, I'm moving to the topics about the climate change and the relationships of the crop productions. Maybe some of you might be interested in agriculture. And agriculture is a very important issue, especially in China, most important issues. So the Chinese Academy of Agriculture staff taught me that China government pays much attention on providing food to the Chinese people. And nowadays, recently, last year, 50% of the people in China, they are living in urban areas, and 50% lives rural areas. In Japan, almost 90% of people live in urban areas, and only 10% people live in rural areas. So the number of people who live in the urban area is increasing in China. And if you are interested in food, please check the website of FAO. FAO is a Food and Agricultural Organization in the headquarters in Roma, Italy. And this is the top 5 major crop producing country in the world. Oh, you can see that. And as for the maize, USA is the top producing countries. And the unit is tons. And China, USA, China, Brazil, Mexico, Indonesia. And soybean is very important for the protein. You can make a muscle with eating soybeans. And USA, Brazil, Argentina, and China, and India. And rice is the top. Your country is producing rice in the top in the world. China, India, Indonesia, and Bangladesh and Vietnam. And wheat is also China, India, Russia, USA, France. So this suggests that you are producing much crops, but then you cannot import. Nowadays, Chinese governments are starting to import more soybeans and more wheat from outside, because you are going to eat more meats. You are eating more meats, and also you are eating more breads, or more spaghetti or pastas. So you are importing much more food from outside of your countries. But China is such a big country, so you cannot get food from outside. You have to feed by yourself. That's the point of the Chinese government strategies. So in that sense, I'm working on the analysis with this. I'm developing the data sets of the temperature and precipitation data set with spatial information. This is an example of the precipitation data sets. This is precipitation data sets, and this is temperature data set. And there's grids. It's a grid. And in each point, in which day, in which month in a year, how many precipitations they have, or in which month in a year, how was the temperature was in a monthly basis. So this data set developed by the Climate Research Unit in the East Anglia University in Great Britain. And maybe some of you might have heard of the name of the IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change. The International Scientist Foundation, Scientist Committee dealing with climate change. And they are using the data sets of this Climate Research Unit. So making use of this data set, we are working on these data sets. And making the data set something like this. This is the year, so the data is small, but this is 1961 to year 2009. And this yield means in a per hectare. Per 1 hectare is almost 100 meters multiply 100 meters areas. And how many tons of major crops can be obtained? This is a time series data set obtained from FAO, United Nations Agriculture Organization in Roma. And also, fertilizer plays very important role for it to make the production increase. And this is the temperature. From temperature, this temperature is from temperature 1, means the temperature in January to December. And also precipitation from January to December. And also this is information on the cropping calendar. Cropping calendar means in which day of the year you plant these trees. and in which day of the year you harvest the crops. So this is a data set. So making use of these data sets, we generate the data sets. For example, if rice in China, rice is planted in April usually, and harvested in October. So we made a generated data set of the accumulated temperature and precipitation data sets from April to October, and accumulated temperature and precipitation. So we made a formula, something like this. Case A, the major crop yield is a function of the temperature and precipitation. And case B is a major crop yield is a function of temperature, precipitation, and fertilizers. So we made a formula like this. So this is the result of the formula. Case A and case B of maize yield in USA, and case A and case B of rice yield in China. So you can see the calculated values and observed values, and in case A and case B. Now this time I skip the result of this quickly, because I'm going to move into the topics around the Changchun province, following these topics. But very important results is coming out. For example, if the crop production, if the temperature rise, if temperature increase, so it is said the production will increase. But there are countries if the temperature increase result in the decrease of yield. So in case Russia, if the temperature increases, the soybean yield in Russia might decrease. That's very important issue. So that nowadays the global warming is going on, so temperature is said to be increasing. So that means in Russia, the yield of soybean might decrease. And also the precipitation, if the precipitation increase, the yield is expected to increase. But these are the countries, if the precipitation increase result in the decrease of crop yield. So China is included. And the soybean production, soybean yield in China, if the precipitation increase, the yield of soybean might decrease in case of China. This is a very interesting results. So we are moving to the topics of climate conditions and maize yield in Changchun area. Last November, I visited Jilin Tashi, the Faculty of Agriculture, and giving a talk about the impacts of climate change on the major crop yield. And after that, I'm moving from Changchun to Beijing and joined the international conference on climate change and food security in Beijing. I joined this conference after the giving lecture in Jilin Tashi. And there I got these slides. These slides suggest major grain production areas in China. And this is northeast areas. And this along the seaside. So you can see, you're living in these areas. So in the northeast areas, rice, you are planting rice or maize, but single cropping. You just plant rice or maize once a year. But you can see around these areas and this area, you can multiple cropping. You can plant not only rice, but also you can plant another crops. So that means, those areas is very strong for the change. They can take. I mean that they can endure and they can fight with climate changes. But the problem is the northern east of your in your area, only once you can try it once, and if you fail that will cause a very serious problem. So that's the point. So I visited the countryside of the Jilin province. Will you please ask me, are there anybody who've been to the rural areas or coming from rural areas, or their father is a farmer?
在座同学们有没有从那个农村来，或者是父母现在还在比较熟悉状况的吗
No, nobody. Oh, it's okay.
That
Only one.
or just
The girl. Your father is a farmer. Farmer.
爸爸是爸爸。
Farmer. Farmer. What's her father name?
Maybe he can speak English.
I can speak English. Yeah. So what's your father making?
Medicine, apple, rice,
Apple.
对
Apple. Fruits.
Soybeans.
Medicine. Meat. Wheat. Oh, meat. Okay. Medicine. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Does it work? Again. Start again. Okay. Let's go. So, I'm surprised to see only her coming from the agricultural areas, but most of you living in urban areas. So I will show you the picture of the rural areas in the Changchun province. Oh, just a moment. Yeah, I visited the countryside last November, just before the snow falls. This is a picture of the countryside, about 70 kilometers from here. And most of the area, they are making maize, like this. This is a picture of maize. And there are cows eating the rest of the maize, like this. And this is a child, very cute. He was very cute. I like him. でこんな感じでthis is a picture of the countryside. And most of the area, they are planting maize. But some places, they are planting rice. So this is the ordinary scenery in Changchun province. And this is a picture of the farmer's house here. And this is his annual income, is his one. He buys seeds and fertilizers from the companies and planted maize, and they harvest it and they sell it to the companies. So that's his income, annual income. And his house, you can see that his house is something like this. His house is very hot, very natural. Even if it's outside, it's very cold. This house, farmers can survive. This is amazing. His house. This kind of coal is burning under the coal is burning, so it's hot inside. Oh, one time. And his house. This is where he sleeps, and under this there's a kind of a place where the coal is burning. So that's his house. So I'm talking about the farmer's house in Changchun province. Sorry. And as I mentioned before, there are data sets with a temperature and precipitation, monthly temperature and monthly precipitation data sets in a global scale, in a grid. So we made a programs. If you choose a point on the surface of the Earth, you can get the data sets of the time series data from 1961 January to the year 2009 to December, the time series data sets. And we made a programs. So this is the yield and temperature and precipitation from January to December, precipitation from January to December. And according to the survey, farmers replies me. They are planting mainly maize. And they plant maize in April. And they harvest maize in October. That's first point, he told me that. And second point, in July and August, they need rains. But not in September. If they have rain in September, they cannot gain much maize. They will reduce the production of maize. That's the farmer's replies to me. And 20 years ago, he could get 3.5 tons per hectare of maize. But nowadays, recently, he can get 20 tons of hectare because of the fertilizers. They're using much more fertilizers, so the yield is dramatically increasing now. And also the price. The farmers are selling the maize to the buyers, and the retail price is almost 1,800 yuan per ton. And that is almost 2 times before 10 years ago, and 9 times before 30 years ago. So the price of maize is dramatically increasing in China, in Changchun province now. So his income is increasing now. So we made a formula. Temperature 1. Temperature 1 is a data set from sun from April to October. And precipitation 2 is sum of July and August precipitation. And precipitation 3 is a September's precipitation. So we generated the data sets like this, making use of this data set. This data set includes the temperature from January to December and precipitation from January to December. So we made generate a data set, temperature 1 and precipitation 2 and precipitation 3. Then we conducted the function, multi-regression analysis. Not single, but multiple regression analysis. So yield of maize is a function, F means a function of the temperature 1 and precipitation 2 and precipitation 3. And we use a yield from FAO-STAT, from United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. And also, I visited a faculty of agriculture during Tashi yesterday, and I could get the data sets of the maize yield in Jilin province yesterday. So I can show you the 2 results. So this is results of the formula using FAO data. You can see these are constants. And this is a temperature from April to October. And this is the precipitation from July and August. And this is a precipitation in September. This value says that. This you can see the plus value. So that means if the temperature from the accumulated temperature from April to 10 increases 1 degree, the yield of maize increased 70-50 kilograms per hectare. And this is a precipitation from July and August increases 1 millimeters. So you will get 0.1 kilograms of yield, maize yield. And September, because the precipitation in September increased 1 millimeters. Only 1 millimeter increase of precipitation in September will result in the decrease of 6 kilograms per hectares of maize. And this is a multiple correlation coefficient value is 0.567. So that means the correlation coefficient is around 0.68 or less than 0.7, but around 0.68 or 0.67. And this is the results of a formula using Jilin data, Jilin province data sets. And the Jilin province data set suggests that is a temperature, accumulated temperature from April to October increases 1 degree. So the yield of maize in Jilin province will increase almost 100 kilograms. And the precipitation from July to August increased 1 millimeter. The yield of Jilin increased 0.7 kilograms. But precipitation in September resulted in the decrease of 2.5 kilograms. And the correlation coefficient becomes much higher. So that means the correlation coefficient is around over 0.7, 0.75 or something around that. So this is a very important issue. So temperature 1 from April to October will be a plus increase of the maize yield. And precipitation 2, July and August precipitation also result in the increase of maize plus. But the rain in September will result in the decrease of maize yield. So the result is consistent with the hearing survey. This is the the results of statistical analysis. So it is consistent with the survey. So this is the results in Japanese, but this means the results of in Chanjun province. The formula, the result is consistent with survey. And this picture, this result is comparing the FAO-STAT data sets with maize yield data sets in Jilin province. You can see this is the FAO-STAT from this is 1949, this is around 1960s. The FAO-STAT data set starts from 1961. So from 1961 to recently, year 2010, there are data sets of FAO-STAT. And these data sets I got at Jilin, Faculty of Agriculture at Jilin Tertiary yesterday. So they suggest the yield of maize is dramatically increasing, but around the year 1989, it's dramatically dropped off and then recovers. But during these days, it's decreasing. We have to know why it happens. And this is a precipitation from 1961 to recently, the change of monthly precipitation and monthly average temperatures. Maybe we have to think of this very carefully, and the temperature change. So we will be able to know what will happen in the near future of the maize production in Jilin province. But this research is still in progress. I can say I can just show the data sets of this one. And now, I'm moving to the one section, one topics. And then maybe after the maybe 5 minutes less one, we have to do that. After that, I'm moving to talk about the economic activities and company activities. Quite different topics after that lesson. But now I'm going to making a conclusion. I'm going to now develop the concept of CAIPA. CAIPA is this one: climate, agriculture, impacts, and forecast and adaptation. This is the CAIPA concept. And also I'm developing the software, providing the data sets on the smartphones with a smartphone. The concept is like this: if you have a smartphone has a GPS. So if you the farmers, they can get the data sets, monthly precipitation and temperature data sets from since 1961 to 2009 or recently. And if the farmers put the yield data sets, which products he got recently, and this product he could not get, that kind of information he put it, so they will know the impact of climate change, climate conditions change. He can imagine that. That's what I'm now trying to develop. So maybe as for the climate conditions and productions, I'm going to finish these topics. So at this stage, will you have any other questions? Please ask.
这个整个演讲的前4个部分，关于环境的部分已经结束了。下面我们将休息5分钟之后，再开始第5个部分，关于confidence和 confidence的一些东西。然后这个前4个部分，老师现在有没有什么问题要问？有吗？
まあ後でまたいいですよ。Okay. じゃあ maybe we can have 5 minutes less. Another topic. 5 minutes less. We are starting at 3:30. 3:30. Yeah, please. Take a rest. Another topic. Just take a rest. Take a rest.
OK，没法接电话。等一会儿吧。5 minutes more. Yeah, 5 minutes. Sorry for that. Maybe.
That's okay.
那个前面我在这边，大家没签到我就签一下。
The next 40 minutes, I'm going to give a talk about snow.
Yeah, I just
and also
the ski potential.
Yeah, ski potentials, and also I'm going to give a talk about polar hypothesis.
Yeah, I have. You mean that the climate changes have the potential about the commercial behaviors? The weather has a very...
Weather topics are finished. Another one.
Another one.
Make a new business.
Okay, right.
Studying new business. Okay. Engineering.
And we must still use the projector, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just a last one.
But not on time.
Okay, certainly is.
After the.
Okay, sure.